I am going to make the sauce for the tamales, and I usually use one of each. So I use chile ancho and chile guajillo. I usually put 3 or 4 of each, so I'm gonna go ahead and add those. A lot of sauce. I'm gonna put here in my pot 4 of each. Okay, then you just add water. You want to fill it all the way, maybe 3/4 of the way, so that the chilies can be really covered. And you're gonna boil them until they get tender. I'm putting it on a high heat at first. Can't see that. I'm gonna let it boil, and then I'm gonna reduce the heat to medium to low. Make sure you cover it. And I'm gonna boil it for about 30 to 45 minutes until they're tender. Right now I'm going to show you how to make the masa, which is the dough. So I use maseca for tamal, and I'm going to put 4 cups of that into there. Oh, I already poured it in there. Okay, so there's 4 cups, okay? Now I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of baking powder and 1.5 teaspoons of salt.
How do you?
Okay, Isa is going to help me record what I'm gonna do. Right here, I am going to use some lard. I didn't say my tamales are healthy. I've been told that they're good, but for vegetarians, what I do is I put in Crisco, so I don't use lard for that. I use my handy dandy Pampered Chef contraption to measure 1 1/3 cup of that lard. Okay, so Isai, hold this. I love this contraption, it's so good. Okay. Add chicken broth to the dough mixture. This is what's left over from when I cooked the chicken, but I'm running out. So what I do is I boil 4 cups of water with 4 teaspoons of chicken bouillon. So I'm going to go ahead and pour that right now. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and add the chicken broth to the mixture. Oops. Okay. And I'm just going to turn on my mixer and mix everything all together. And Isai is helping me with the recording. So go ahead and just put it in here, make sure everything's nice and mixed.
You see?
And make sure that you keep on, well, I don't have a fancy one like the kitchen made one, but make sure that you know, help it so that everything can get mixed really well. And once it's all mixed kind of, then you could put the speed up. Just like that. Okay, so now it's almost ready. I like the way that looks. When you move it like that, that means it's gonna spread really good on the corn husk. So I like it when it's smooth. Okay, so now that your chilies are tender and have been boiled, you're gonna go ahead and put them in the blender. I take off the stem and put it in there, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some of the water that it was boiled in. I'll probably cover it about 3/4 of the way. And now it is time to blend. blended it, then you're gonna put it through a colander. Sorry. Make sure you let all of the juices go in. Pretty much all you're gonna have left is like the little skins and some of the seeds. Okay, so after you've put it through the colander, then you put it back in the blender. You're gonna add, well, I'm gonna add like a quarter of medium onion, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 6 or 7 garlic cloves, 1.5 teaspoons of the chicken bouillon, and 1 teaspoon of salt. And then you're gonna blend again. Okay, so now that I've blended all of that in there, I'm gonna go ahead and heat up about 1 tablespoon of lard again. It's gonna make sure you melt it really good and wait until it gets really hot. Not extremely hot, but just a little bit smoky. And then you're gonna add the sauce, okay? Okay, so now the lard is really hot. It's in my Princess House stainless steel pot. I did a shout out for Princess Pampered Chef earlier, so now I'm doing a shout out for Princess House. I use a lot of their products. Anyhow, okay, so it's warm now. I'm gonna lower the heat because it's a little bit high. And you're gonna very carefully pour your sauce into there. It's gonna jump, so be careful. Okay, so when I told you to add water to the chilies, I added a little bit too much water more water than I normally do. I should have added a little bit less because I like my sauce to be a little bit thicker, but it's still gonna be okay. So it'll thicken up with the boiling and the cooking. So I'm gonna let that boil a little bit, and once it boils, I'm gonna add a couple of dashes of cumin. Once again, Princess House. I love my Princess House. Okay, so I'm gonna add, 2 or 3 dashes of cumin just to give it a really nice smell to that sauce. Okay, so now it's been boiling for about 10 minutes, and that should be done. I'm gonna go ahead and pour it into my little container there so I can continue assembling the tamales over there. I tasted it and oh my goodness, it is so good. It's yummy, yummy, yummy. Okay, I hope that helped. And I think I might show you how I do the tamales, but I don't know how I can do it if everybody's asleep and I'm doing this on my phone. So I think you're just gonna have to trust me. I'm just gonna run by this really quick. This is the dough that we made earlier, and I boiled the corn husks in a large pot for about an hour so they're really nice and pliable. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab a spoonful of this and you're gonna put it on here. Okay, it's better if you do it on your hand instead of on the table, because that way you can smooth it out easier. Okay, I'm gonna do it, then I'll come right back. Okay, so I went ahead and I spread it onto the corn husk, and you want to do an even amount all over, and then you're going to add your meat and put the meat on there, and then I add the sauce. And since this sauce is a little bit runnier, I used about 2 spoonfuls of the sauce, and I just put it on top of the meat. And now what you do is, let me put this down, I was making a mess. What you're gonna do is you fold it in like this, okay? One hand is hard. And then you're gonna squeeze it this way to make it kind of like a rectangle. So you're gonna squeeze it this way, okay? Like that. And then you squeeze it up a little bit. And you fold it up. And then I like to make sure I squeeze it all together so the dough gets all of the juice. And there, you're done. Of course, it's a lot easier with 2 hands, but I'm doing it with 1. Okay, so now it's time to put the tamales inside of the pots so that they can boil. And I learned a trick from a friend. My Princess House pot, I don't usually need to do it for that, but because there's plenty of water, it's like about that full of water. But you get a penny, and here, well, you can't really see, but it has maybe about 3 cups of water inside. You put the penny inside, yes, and then you're gonna place, I don't even know what this thing is called. If any of you guys know what this is called, let me know. You put it in here, you put it in there, and then you're gonna stack the tamales standing up. I'll show you in a little bit. So we're gonna do that for this too, okay? Okay, so now I've went ahead and I put all of the tamales inside of the pots. Nice and stacked. Ready to go. These are chicken. These are beef. These, I put a little wrap on them just so I can tell the difference. These don't have a wrap. They're just like that. But that's just what I do to differentiate the flavors of the tamales. Okay, so after you do that, then you go ahead, you're gonna wanna cover your pots, and then you're gonna put your lid on top, and then you're gonna put it on high until the water starts boiling. Then you're gonna lower it to a medium to low setting. And once you start hearing a rattling, remember we put the penny inside, that's because the water is getting low. You always want to make sure that there's always water in these, because if the water runs out, the tamales will burn and it will give the tamales a horrible, horrible smell, and your whole pot is ruined. Or your whole batch of tamales is ruined. So you can't leave these unattended. You always have to be close by so that you can hear that rattling, which would mean that you have to add more water. You're going to leave these to steam for about 2.5 hours. Okay? And then after that, you take one out, and if it comes off easily off of the corn husk, if you open it and it, separates from the corn husk easily, it means it's ready. If it's still gooey, you have to leave it a little bit longer. Okay, so I think that's it. I'll show you guys the final product once it's done. If you guys ever have any questions, feel free to ask. That's what I'm here for. Okay, thank you. Bye. Okay, so the tamales are now done. I cooked them for 2.5 to 3 hours last night. And that's the way they look. I'm gonna go ahead and take one out. They're cold now, so they're fine for you to touch. But if they are still hot, you need to be careful and make sure you use some of these to pick them up. Okay, so you're gonna go ahead and open, and you see how that peels right off? That just peels right off. That means that they are done. So go ahead and put them back. And you're good to go. I hope this helped.